Chapter 52, What an Incredible Comprehension. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Ning Rongrong say that she didn't quite understand the route, Xin Ya sighed, "Forget it, I'll take care of the route." Ning Rongrong nodded happily. Afterwards, she said, "Xiaoya, if we encounter danger along the way, can you protect me? I know I was unfriendly to you before, but I will really change." Xin Ya raised her eyebrows. "Want to hire me as a bodyguard? You want me to do things, but you have to charge me." Ning Rongrong immediately raised her head and said excitedly, "It doesn't matter, I'll charge you, just as compensation for my unfriendly attitude towards you before. How many soul coins do you want to charge?" Xin Ya's mouth curled up slightly instantly. "I charge by the day, 50 gold soul coins a day if everything is fine, and 100 gold soul coins if you really encounter danger. But I will absolutely guarantee your safety. Even if I can't beat you, I will keep you safe first. I am very professional." "What is professional quality?" Ning Rongrong asked in confusion. Xin Ya said, "It means, being responsible." Ning Rongrong said, "Oh, however, the words keep you safe first said by Xin Ya sounded like a promise, which made Miss Ning take it to heart." At this time, there was light in her eyes when she looked at Xin Ya. According to the calculation of the day, 50 if nothing happens, 100 if something happens. Ning Rongrong said generously, "Okay, deal." Xin Ya laughed, as expected of the eldest lady of the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect. "You are indeed financially strong." Ning Rongrong snorted twice, "Because it's you, I wouldn't give it to someone else." After that, she asked again, "Xiaoya, I can see from your 3 10,000-year soul rings that you are quite powerful. But how many levels can you beat? Tell me, so that I can have a bottom line." Xin Ya thought for a while. "Under level 70, no problem." "So powerful." Ning Rongrong opened her eyes wide instantly. "But you are only level 41, even if you have 3 10,000-year soul rings, you can almost beat a soul king of more than 50 levels. Can you challenge a soul emperor?" Xin Ya smiled, but did not explain too much. Others don't know, how could she not know? In addition to the 3 10,000-year soul rings, she also has the killing god domain and 200,000-year soul bones. One has been absorbed, and the other, the little girl suddenly remembered that the other left leg soul bone has not been absorbed yet. When she got the soul bone, Lu Erlong and the others were there, so she couldn't take out the 100,000-year soul bone to absorb it openly. Then she went to the auction house again, and Guang Ling and Xin Ya chased her again, so she didn't have time to absorb it. She must absorb it tonight, so as not to have more troubles. Xin Ya knew that the killing god domain and 200,000-year soul bones, plus 3 10,000-year soul rings, were enough to make her strength surpass 20 levels to challenge the soul emperor. She felt that it didn't matter if others knew about the soul ring, but the 100,000-year soul bone must not be known to a third person except Guang Ling. Otherwise, people who came to kill her to get the soul bone would flock to her. Soul bones are scarce, and 100,000-year ones are even rarer. And I have 2 of them on me. If others know about it, it would be strange if I don't bring disaster to myself." Ning Rongrong saw that Xin Ya didn't seem to want to talk more, so she didn't ask any more questions. At this time, Ning Tian finally came back with the fishing tools. "Why did you take so long?" Ning Rongrong complained deliberately. Ning Tian replied, "Because it's time for lunch, I'll stop by the restaurant here and order some good dishes for the 2 ladies." Ning Rongrong said with satisfaction, "I guess you can do it." She picked up the fishing tools, turned to Xin Ya and said, "Xiaoya, let's go fishing. I'll teach you how to make bait and fishing rods." Xin Ya looked down at the fishing tools and thought, "Do I need to be taught? I guess this lady will be able to do it as soon as she gets started." Sure enough, when she picked up the fishing rod, something familiar flashed through her mind. Then, the system's prompt sounded in her mind, "Tip, the host automatically comprehends the fishing skills because of the mysteries of the fisherman, and the comprehension is against the sky. The host is rewarded with 10 points, a total of 14 points." Xin Ya listened to the prompt tone. She walked towards the lake with the fishing tools, and asked the system in her mind with a smile, "The name of the fishing man Aoe is too careless." "System, It's not careless. For those fishing enthusiasts, they like others to call them fishing men the most. Haha. Although the system's explanation was correct, Xin Ya couldn't help laughing. Ning Rongrong saw that Xin Ya, who sat next to her, suddenly laughed. She asked in wonder, Xiaoya, what are you laughing at? Nothing. Xin Ya said while fiddling with the fishing gear, I just have a habit of facial muscle twitching. Facial muscle twitching? Miss Ning was at a loss. What does this mean? Xin Ya thought about it and explained, it's just a facial cramp. Ning Rongrong smiled and said, face cramps are facial cramps, what facial muscle twitching, where do you get these words? After she finished speaking, she saw Xin Ya fiddling with those fishing tools. Just as Miss Ning was about to teach her how to use it, she saw Xin Ya take out a small box, which contained the bait that had been prepared in the other courtyard. She grabbed a little bait and sprinkled it into the lake to leave some for the fish. Then, she skillfully grabbed a little more bait and kneaded it into a small ball, and then hung the small ball directly on the silk thread hook. After Xin Ya got the bait, she stood up and swung the rod, put out the line, and pulled out all at once. Ning Rongrong raised her eyebrows, so you can fish. Xin Ya smiled and said, I just learned it. Just learned it? How is it possible? Judging from your skillful movements, you are clearly an experienced fisherman. Ning Rongrong didn't believe it at all. Xin Ya smiled, she had indeed just learned it, but her understanding was incredible and she learned it too well. At this moment, just 10 minutes after she put down the bait, the float at the other end of the fishing line started to move. The little girl stood up decisively, pulled and pulled with her little hands, and got the hooked fish up in a few clicks. Ning Tian, who was standing aside, immediately brought the wooden bucket filled with water, took the fish pulled up by Xin Ya, unhooked the fish, and threw it into the wooden bucket. Ning Rongrong looked at the fish and said slightly surprised, you caught one so quickly. That she remembered that she used to go fishing with her father, and they only caught 4 or 5 fish a day. Why did Xin Ya catch one just 10 minutes after putting it down? This is unreasonable. At this time, Xin Ya was a little confused looking at the fish in the barrel. What she has learned is just the fishing skill. Does this fishing skill also come with a 100% hook success rate? If this is the case, this understanding is a bit too awesome. In order to verify her idea, Xin Ya immediately walked back to the lake, put the bait on the hook again, then stood up and swung the rod, put out the line, and pulled. 10 minutes later, sure enough, the float at the other end of the fishing line moved again, and Xin Ya pulled and pulled the fish up immediately. After Ning Tian removed the fishhook and put the fish into the barrel, he and Ning Rongrong looked at each other with slight surprise in their eyes. But Xin Ya still didn't believe it, so she decided to try again. So, for the next hour, she kept getting the bait, then swung the rod and released the line, and every time after putting out the line, it took about 10 minutes for the float to start moving. After repeated practice and proof, Xin Ya had no choice but to believe it. The fishing skills she has mastered with incredible understanding really come with a 100% hook success rate. What an incredible understanding. Chapter 53 Treat her like a monkey in a zoo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ning Rongrong and Ning Tian saw Xin Ya catch a fish within 10 minutes, the two of them were already shocked by her sexy moves. Looking at the more than 50 fish in the 2 wooden barrels, the two looked at each other. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but ask, Xiaoya, are you the daughter of the sea? Can you summon fish to automatically take the bait? Xin Ya put down the fishing rod and squatted down to look at the 2 buckets of fish. She herself was shocked. Miss Xin, don't you want to continue fishing? Ning Tian asked. If I keep fishing, I'm afraid that all the fish in this lake will be caught by me. After finishing her words, Xin Ya stood up and said, I'm hungry, let's go to the restaurant for lunch. Ning Rongrong nodded and followed her. Ning Tian, who was still standing there, looked at the 2 barrels of fish and shouted, Miss Xin, what should I do with these 2 barrels of fish? Xin Ya walked forward and said in a slightly louder voice, put the small fish back into the lake, and send the big fish to the restaurant. Yes. Ning Tian responded, then squatted down and started dividing the fish inside the restaurant in the courtyard, Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong walked into the restaurant. Manager Hong immediately came forward and led the two of them towards the box. Manager Hong asked Xin Ya as he walked, "I just heard from Ning Tian that Miss Xian is very good at fishing. She can catch one in 10 minutes. Originally, he was not interested in asking about fishing, but I just passed by the kitchen and saw Ning Tian carrying a bucket of fish, with 30 or 40 fish in it, so I asked out of curiosity." Manager Hong was immediately surprised when he asked this question. Xin Ya smiled lightly and said, "It's just good luck." At this time, Ning Tian also came, and he had already sent the fish into the kitchen. The four of them talked about the fishing they had just done. Suddenly, a female voice came, "Who is so good at fishing?" That the four people turned around at the same time and looked in the direction of the sound. Manager Hong immediately greeted the visitor with a smile. He nodded respectfully and said, "I have met Princess Xueka. Miss Xin Ya is very good at fishing. A disciple of the Ning family said that she can catch one in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Xueka looked at Xin Ya with appraising eyes. "It's so amazing. This princess doesn't believe it. You show it to me, and if you can catch one in 10 minutes, I will reward you. But if you don't catch one within 10 minutes, you will be punished." When Xin Ya listened to Princess Xueka's words, it sounded like she was being treated like a monkey in the zoo. It makes people feel extremely uncomfortable. He also performed for her, with rewards and punishments. "Grandma, you are such a stupid idiot." Xin Ya said to Xueku in an unhappy tone, "Why should I perform it for you? Do you believe it or not? What did you say?" Xueku opened his eyes wide and said angrily, "Do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like this?" At this time, everyone around him took a breath, and Manager Hong had already consciously stepped aside. Ning Rongrong and Ning Tian, who were standing aside, also swallowed nervously. Miss Ning did not expect that Xin Ya would dare to speak like this to Princess Xueka, the most beloved daughter of Emperor Xuya of the Tiando Empire. Xin Ya looked at Xueku with slightly raised eyebrows. "Of course I know who you are, Princess Xueku, but so what, so what?" Princess Xueka was so angry that her entire face turned black. She yelled, "Come here, arrest this damn girl who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth." As soon as Xueku finished speaking, 10 guards rushed in from outside the restaurant. They all pointed their spears at Xin Ya. At this time, the little girl was also angry. She hated people who used their power to oppress others. Xin Ya's eyes flashed, and she immediately released the god of death domain. Instantly, a cold murderous aura radiated from her body to all directions. Suddenly, everyone around them trembled. Princess Xueka, who was standing in front of Xin Ya, was directly hit by the murderous aura, and she was instantly thrown backwards. Manager Hong was a 50-level Soul Emperor, but the cold murderous aura that Xin Ya just exuded made him tremble uncontrollably. He came back to his senses and immediately stepped forward to support Princess Xueka. Then, he looked at Xin Ya and said, "Miss Xian, this is the princess after all. Please take the face of the Tiando royal family into account and don't conflict with the princess." Xin Ya said calmly, "As long as this princess does not provoke you, I will naturally not take action." After Manager Hong helped Princess Xueka, he whispered, "Princess, this Miss Xian has a strong murderous intention and is probably not low in strength. I advise you not to offend her." Xueku felt very unwilling. She glanced at Xin Ya and asked Manager Xiang Hong, "Can't even you, the Soul King, defeat her?" Manager Hong said truthfully, "I don't know her strength, so I don't dare to attack her rashly, and this Miss Xian is a guest of the Qibao Glazed Sect. 7 Treasures Glazed Sect." Xueku knew that his father valued the Qibao Glazed Sect very much, and even his father wanted to give Ning Fengji 3 points of praise. Of course she couldn't help but give it. After thinking about it, Xueku hummed to Xin Ya, "Damn girl, you wait for me while I look for my elder brother." After saying this, she turned around and left the restaurant angrily. Xin Ya raised her eyebrows. "That's it." "Ha!" Ning Rongrong walked up to Xin Ya and said, "Xiaoya, her eldest brother is the prince brother. What if she really tells the prince brother when she goes back and he comes right away? If they come, we will run away immediately, and don't go back to the sect. But let's eat lunch first. We need to have strength even if we want to run." Xin Ya said as she walked towards the box. After entering the box, Ning Tian felt very guilty about the little episode that happened just now. He immediately apologized to Xin Ya. Miss Xin, I'm sorry. If I hadn't told Manager Hong about your fishing skills, Princess Xueko wouldn't have heard it, and the following things wouldn't have happened. Xin Ya waved her hand. It's none of your business. It's Xueko herself who is not good. Even if you don't say this, there will be other things that will make the princess show her willful character. After saying that, she looked at Ning Rongrong and joked, you are almost the same as that princess. Ning Rongrong pouted. Xin Ya saw that Ning Tian was still lowering his head, and she said, if you don't eat, I will eat. I'm so hungry. The little girl picked up the chopsticks and started eating. Ning Rongrong and Ning Tian looked at each other, smiled, and picked up the chopsticks to eat. An hour later, the three of them finished lunch, and when Ning Rongrong was about to pay, Steward Hong thanked Xin Ya for the fish she sent, and to apologize for the little episode just now, he directly gave them a free meal. Ning Rongrong smiled and said, thank you, Steward Hong. Steward Hong smiled and said it was okay, then looked at Xin Ya. Miss Xin, please forgive me for what happened just now. Xin Ya waved her hand. I'm not that stingy. Steward Hong, let's come and play again next time. Okay, I will definitely treat you well next time. Steward Hong saw the three people off. The carriage was waiting at the door. The three got on the carriage, and Steward Hong watched the carriage leave. An hour later, the carriage returned to the Seven Treasures glazed sect. Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong were tired and went back to their rooms. The little girl was on her way back to her room. When passing by the door of Ning Fengji's study, I vaguely heard Ning Fengji say to Ning Tian in the study, send this letter to the prince in Tiando Palace later. Also, tell the prince what happened in Xingliuan today. It's not Xiaoya's fault, so that the prince won't just listen to the princess's one-sided words. Tell the prince that it would be best if he could come to our sect tomorrow or the day after tomorrow to have a good chat with Xiaoya. Yes, I'll do it right away. Ning Tian responded respectfully, put the letter away and turned to walk towards the door. Xin Ya immediately hid in a corner. She looked at Ning Tian's back as he left to deliver the letter, and thought about it. It seems that he can't wait until the day after tomorrow to leave, so he has to run away tomorrow. She turned around and walked quickly towards Ning Rongrong's room. Chapter 54. The products of Lord Shura must be top-notch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the room, Ning Rongrong had just come out of the shower room when she heard a knock on the door. She walked over to open the door while drying her hair. The door opened, and Xin Ya slipped in decisively. Ning Rongrong saw her sneaky look and couldn't help but ask with a smile, Xiaoya, what are you doing? You're sneaking around. Xin Ya looked outside the door, then closed the door and went in, saying, we can't wait until the day after tomorrow to leave, and we'll probably leave tomorrow. Why? Ning Rongrong frowned. Xin Ya said, I thought your father would let me play for 2 days before writing to the prince, but when I passed by your father's study just now, I heard that my uncle asked Ning Tian to deliver the letter. So the prince will probably come tomorrow. I have to run. Ning Rongrong advised, actually, I think you can talk to the prince brother clearly before we leave, because I see that the prince is really looking for you anxiously. Xin Ya suddenly said angrily, I don't want it, I don't want to see him. She knew that he was Guang Ling, not the Prince Xue Qinghe. Ning Rongrong saw her angry look and continued to persuade, I think the prince is so anxious to find you, in addition to worrying, he should also want to apologize to you. He also knows that it was wrong for him to ask someone to watch you at the beginning. Why don't you give him a chance to apologize? That when Xin Ya was making up the story of herself and Xue Qinghe, she subconsciously included some of the things about herself and Guang Ling. For example, Guang Ling asked the maid to watch her, which was exactly the same as the story she made up. Now when Ning Rongrong persuaded her, her emotions were directly substituted for Guang Ling. Miss Ning had just finished speaking when she saw Xin Ya angrily said, I won't give him a chance to apologize. You don't know how bad he is. He set a trap for me in the restaurant and asked me to write a contract to sell my body. He always scolded me and scolded me. That arrogant monster, that big bad guy. He bullied me like this, why should I give him a chance to apologize? After saying that, I don't know why, the little girl suddenly felt wronged, and her eyes were instantly red. Ning Rongrong was stunned for a moment when she heard what she said and saw her eyes slightly red. Such a big emotion. Miss Ning wondered if she had persuaded the wrong person. And, this arrogant monster, this big bad guy. Ning Rongrong was a little confused when she heard it. Why does it feel like Xin Ya doesn't seem to be talking about the prince? After Xin Ya vented and calmed down, she realized that she had actually substituted her emotions for Guang Ling. The little girl was a little embarrassed for a while. She immediately changed the subject and reminded Ning Rongrong, pack your things tonight. We will see the situation tomorrow and may leave at any time. I will go back first. Turning around, she opened the door and left quickly. Ning Rongrong frowned as she watched her leave. Xiao Ya's mood changes too quickly. It's a bit hard to catch up. On the other side, after Xin Ya returned to her room, she kept thinking about Guang Ling's shadow. In order to get rid of this shadow, she paced back and forth in the room, trying to find something to do to distract her attention. I wanted to pack my things, but there was no luggage to pack. I wanted to clean the house, but the servants had already cleaned it up, without a speck of dust. The little girl suddenly looked up and shouted, "Can you give me something to do? I don't want to keep thinking about that arrogant monster." She didn't know what was wrong with her. I obviously hate him, but I always think about him. After shouting, she suddenly remembered that the 100,000-year soul bone in the system space had not been absorbed yet. Yes, absorb the soul bone. Finally there is something to do to distract attention. Xin Ya immediately sat cross-legged on the bed. Take out the 100,000-year-old left leg soul bone from the system space. She looked at the soul bone in her hand with a faint blue light, wondering which two soul skills this soul bone would bring. The little girl closed her eyes with anticipation and began to absorb the soul bone. The faint blue light instantly enveloped Xin Ya's whole body, and she felt something pulling her left calf. An hour and a half later, the 100,000-year-old soul bone finally completely disappeared into Xin Ya's left calf and merged with her body. At this time, the system's prompt voice appeared in her mind. Prompt. The host automatically comprehends the ability to be immune to light because of the mysteries of the light attribute of the 100,000-year-old soul bone. Prompt. The understanding is against the sky. Congratulations to the host's soul power level for 1 level. The current soul power level is 42nd level, and 20 points are awarded at the same time, a total of 34 points. Xin Ya opened her eyes and she jumped up from the bed happily. It turns out that this soul bone is produced from a 100,000-year-old light attribute soul beast, which is rare. Sure enough, the product of Lord Shura God must be a fine product. Another thing that makes Xin Ya happy is the two skills of the 100,000-year soul bone. One is the healing skill, healing light. This healing skill is so useful for her who is afraid of death. The other is the light attribute skill, shadowless slash, a single attack skill. Xin Ya feels that this 100,000-year soul skill is very similar to Guang Ling's invisible arrow, except that one is an arrow attack and the other is a light slash invisible body attack. After being happy, the little girl was depressed again. How can absorbing a soul bone be connected to that arrogant monster? Guang Ling's martial soul bow is light and ice attributes. Ah! This man is really annoying, Xin Ya yelled, then lay down, hugging the comfortable Yenyu and being forced to sleep. Stop thinking about Guang Ling. Tiando Palace. Inside the prince's palace, in the study, Xue Qinghe is handling government affairs at his desk. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Come in. The door opened and Xueke walked in and said, Brother, are you busy? That when Xue Qinghe heard Xueke's voice, he raised his eyes and put down his pen. It's not too busy. Do you have anything to do with me? Qianren Xue is very kind to this sister who is not her biological sister. Because Xueke did not hinder her interests, and it did not hinder her plan to steal the country for the time being, but if it affects her, Qianren Xue cannot keep her. Xueke sat on the other side of the desk and suddenly looked at Xue Qinghe with an aggrieved look. Xue Qinghe stood up, walked around the desk, walked to her, and asked, What's wrong? Who made our Princess Xueke unhappy? Xueke took her eldest brother's arm and said coquettishly, Brother, I went to play in the paradise today, and I was bullied by a commoner. Civilian? Xue Qinghe frowned. Xingliuan is only open to the Tiando royal family and some big families. How can any commoner enter? Xueku said angrily. It's true. Manager Hong said that dead girl is a guest of the Ning family. Her name is, what is her name? The princess thought for a while and finally remembered, my name is Xin Ya. What? Xue Qinghe grabbed her shoulders suddenly. What was the name of that girl you just mentioned? Xin Ya. Xue Qinghe's reaction shocked Xue Ku and made him feel a little awkward when speaking. Brother, what's wrong with you? Do you know that dead girl? Xue Ku asked. Xue Qinghe didn't answer but asked, are you sure she is a guest of the Qibao glazed sect? Xue Ku nodded, Manager Hong told me, and I also saw her with that Ning Rongrong. Hey brother, where are you going? Xue Qinghe ignored her and walked quickly towards the door. Just when he opened the door, a guardsman and a man were walking towards the study. Xue Qinghe recognized that person as a disciple of the Qibao glazed sect. Chapter 55. The fifth priest is well known for being protective of his children and having a bad temp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The imperial guards brought the messenger disciple of the seven treasures glazed sect to the prince. Greetings, your highness. I am Ning Tian, a disciple of the seven treasures glazed sect, and our sect master. Ning Tian was interrupted by Xue Qinghe before he finished speaking. He asked back, you came at the right time. Is there a little girl named Xin Ya visiting your sect? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, yes, the disciple came here this time because of Miss Xin Ya's matter. Go to the study and talk. Xue Qinghe turned around and returned to the study. Xue Ku was still in the study. She was going to leave, but she heard what the disciple of the seven treasures glazed sect said at the door. She guessed that it must be that the dead girl named Xin Ya who complained to Ning Fengji after returning to the seven treasures glazed sect. After all, Ning Fengji is the prince's teacher, and the teacher is to teach and solve doubts, so the status is not low. Princess Xue Ku was worried that her elder brother would help the teacher instead of herself, so she planned not to leave first. In case the disciple of the seven treasures glazed tile sect said something bad about her, she could also argue. Xue Qinghe returned to the study, glanced at Xue Ku, and asked, Kur, do you have anything else to say? Xue Ku immediately said, of course, I came here to talk about what happened in Xingliuan today. That Xin Ya was not only rude to me, but also hit people. She is a guest of the seven treasures glazed tile sect, and sect master Ning is your teacher, so I can only come to you to argue about this matter. Ning Tian, who was standing aside, was very unhappy when he heard what Princess Xue Ku said. Xue Qinghe didn't say anything after hearing what Xue Ku said, but looked at Ning Tian. Do you know about Xingliuan? Ning Tian immediately replied respectfully, disciple knows. At that time, it was the disciple who accompanied my eldest lady and Miss Xin Ya to Xingliuan to fish, and when the conflict occurred, the disciple was also there. Fishing? Xue Qinghe smiled and said, she can also fish? Ning Tian knew that the prince was talking about Miss Xin Ya. Because of the relationship between Miss Xin Ya and His Royal Highness, some of the news was spread privately in the Qibao Liuli sect. Ning Tian said to the prince, Your Highness, Miss Xin Ya is very good at fishing, but it is precisely because of her good skills that she was played by His Royal Highness the Princess. Xue Ku immediately said angrily, you are so bold, eh? Commoner. How could this princess play tricks on that dead girl? Xue Qinghe glared at Xue Ku. Xue Ku immediately fell silent, lowered her head, and dared not speak for the time being. The prince said to Ning Tian, tell me about the situation at that time. Ning Tian nodded, and then told everything that happened in the Xingliuan at that time. After listening, Xue Qinghe frowned and looked at Xue Ku. Xue Ku immediately retorted, I just let that damn girl perform, and it's normal to have rewards and punishments to increase the fun. Fun. Xue Qinghe said in an unhappy tone, ha. You really know how to talk, no wonder she is angry. Hearing her elder brother's obvious mockery of her, Xue Ku's eyes instantly turned red. Brother, you actually mocked me for that damn girl. Shouldn't you stand on my side? I only stand on the side of reason. Xue Qinghe said lightly, okay, go back, I can't help you argue about this matter, if you are unwilling. go to my father to argue. Brother! Go back! Xue Ke was unwilling and stomped her feet angrily, turned around and ran out of the study. Xue Qinghe looked at the unruly princess who left in anger. If Xue Ke had offended someone else, it would have been fine, but it was this little girl Xin Ya. Qian Renxue could already imagine how angry the Fifth Lord would be if he knew that Xue Ke was playing with his little thing like a monkey. The Fifth Lord was notorious for being protective of his child and having a bad temper. If he knew about this, he would probably tie up Xue Ke and throw her directly into the Xingdou Great Forest to feed the soul beasts without mercy. Qian Renxue felt that she had saved Xue Ke's life. At this time, Ning Tian took out a letter from his arms, handed it to the prince, and said, "Your Highness, this is a letter from our sect leader to you. The sect leader said that you must go to our 7 treasures glazed sect tomorrow or the day after tomorrow." Xue Qinghe nodded, took the letter and opened it. After reading it, he frowned slightly, because Ning Fengji's letter made it seem as if he and Xin Ya had some special relationship. He didn't know what the little girl had said to Ning Fengji. Now that she was not there, he couldn't ask, so he could only go there tomorrow to ask again. Xue Qinghe put away the letter and said to Ning Tian, "It's night now. You must be tired after coming here. Just stay here for one night. I will go to the 7 treasures glazed sect tomorrow. You can follow me back then." Ning Tian nodded slightly and said, "Yes, Your Highness." After that, Xue Qinghe asked a guard guarding outside the door to take Ning Tian to the guest room to rest. He said to the captain of the guard, "Prepare an ordinary carriage and go to the Imperial City Hotel." "Yes." The captain of the guard took the order and left. The owner of the Imperial City Hotel is a businessman, but the real behind-the-scenes boss is actually Qian Renxue. She specially funded the opening of this hotel. She also found a local from Tiandou City to help her manage it. The advantage of having a local to manage it is that it will not attract the attention of the Tiandou royal family, which is convenient for hiding. The purpose of opening this hotel is mainly to provide a safe and undiscovered place for people from the Spirit Hall to stay when they come to Tiandou City. For example, the elders of the Spirit Hall, Shilong and Sitten, have lived in this hotel for a long time in order to cooperate with Qian Renshue's plan to steal the country. This time, Guang Ling came to Tiandou City to find Xin Ya. And Qian Renxue also arranged for him to live here. Half an hour later, an extremely ordinary carriage arrived. At the door of the Imperial City Hotel, and a woman with a stunning face walked out of the carriage. Every time Qian Renxue came to the Imperial City Hotel, she would restore her original appearance in order to prevent this hotel from having any relationship with the Crown Prince Xue Qinghe. In order not to attract attention, she even used a fake identity to open a room in this hotel for a long time. So the service staff in the hotel are familiar with her. The captain of the Imperial Guard who drove the carriage was disguised, except for his sharp eyes. The rest of him could not tell that he was a palace guard. At this time, he reached out his hand and helped Qian Renxue get out of the car in a gentlemanly manner. The two walked into the hotel together and went straight to the stairs. The waitress at the front desk of the hotel could not help but peek at Qian Renxue every time she saw her, because this woman is so beautiful. And every time this beautiful woman appears, she is accompanied by the sharp-eyed man. Although the waitress was curious about the relationship between the two, she did not dare to explore too much. After all, it was the privacy of the guests. Qian Renxue and the guards came to the 5th floor and walked towards the luxurious room 501. Knock knock. The door was knocked. After a while, Guang Ling opened the door and saw that it was his young master. He made way for the two to come in. The three sat on the sofa. Guang Ling put his feet together and asked, "Come here so late, is there something wrong?" Qian Renxue handed him Ning Fengji's letter. "Take a look." Guang Ling took the letter in confusion and opened it, just saw the first line of content. Qinghe, Xin Ya is now a guest in Qibao Yuli sect. Just these few words made him lose his composure instantly. Chapter 56 Fifth Worshipper. Miss Xin Ya rode away on horseback again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guang Ling took the letter and stood up suddenly. When that little thing left the city, the guards guarding the city didn't even notice her. Are they so incompetent? Guang Ling was so angry. It was the first time Qian Renxue saw Wu Zongfang looking so excited. She thought, if this was Wuhuan City, and if the guards guarding the city were from their Wuhuan palace, with the character of Wu Zongfeng, there would probably be a huge commotion. After all, Wu Zongfeng is someone who can give her grandfather a headache. The disguised captain of the guard standing aside said cautiously, "Actually, we can't blame the guards who guard the city for being incompetent. Because of the privilege granted to Ning Fengji by Emperor Shuiyi, the carriage of Master Ning of the Qibao glazed sect can be released directly without inspection, so it is normal that the city guards did not notice it." Guang Ling glared at the captain of the Imperial Guard. Although he knew the reason, he was still unhappy. He stood up and prepared to walk out. Shura asked, "5 offerings, where are you going?" "I will go to the Qibao glazed sect to find her now." Guang Ling couldn't wait until tomorrow. He was going to find that little thing now. Shura stepped forward to stop him and said, "No, Chen Xian and Gu Rong are both in the Qibao glazed sect. You can't hide your identity from them." Furthermore, Ning Fengji wrote to Prince Xue Qinghe. "The relationship between Prince Xue Qinghe and Wuhuan Palace has been exposed as soon as you come to visit. What's more, it's already dark now. By the time you arrive, it's already late at night and she's asleep, so why bothering her to get up? Don't worry, she won't run away tonight. We can just leave before dawn tomorrow." Guang Ling thought about it and realized what the young master said made sense. "Okay, then you set off directly from the palace tomorrow, and I will follow you not far away on horseback alone." Shura nodded and left the Imperial City Hotel. The next day, before dawn, Xue Qinghe was sitting in a carriage, leading 10 Imperial guards, and Ning Tian drove towards Qibao City. Behind the carriage, a man in a black cloak followed closely on horseback. Other side, inside the Qibao glazed sect, Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong got up early in the morning. The two of them went to the dining room to have breakfast at the same time. Ning Fengji looked at his daughter who got up unusually early and didn't say anything. After breakfast, Xin Ya winked at Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong understood and immediately returned to her room. Xin Ya was waiting in the corner at the door of her room. After Miss Ning put the things she packed last night into the bracelet of the storage soul guide, she was about to go out, but after thinking about it, she turned back. She wrote a few words on the note with a swipe of her pen, then pressed the note on the table and quickly left the room. Saw Ning Rongrong walking out of the room. Xin Ya walked out of the corner and asked, "Are you sure you want to run away from home? I'll give you the last chance to think clearly." Ning Rongrong nodded firmly, "Sure. I have thought clearly." Xin Ya said, "Okay, let's leave Qibao City on horseback first. If you want to take a carriage, go to the next town and change. Then should we drive the horse directly here? Or buy it outside?" Ning Rongrong asked. "No need, I have it." "You have? You'll know later, just follow me." "Good." After the two communicated, Xin Ya walked decisively toward the back door, followed by Ning Rongrong. Qibao glazed sect has 2 gates, one main entrance and one back entrance. However, according to Xin Ya's understanding, there is another small door, which is the dog hole under the corner of the wall. There are disciples guarding the front and back doors, and they are not afraid of those disciples. After all, one is the eldest lady and the other is a guest. How dare those disciples stop them? But the reason why I chose to go through the back door was because if I went out through the front door, I would definitely run into Ning Fengji, Chen Xian, or Gu Rong. At this time, just as the two were about to walk to the back door, Ning Tian's voice suddenly came from behind. "You two ladies, stay." Ning Rongrong and Xin Ya's steps stagnated. They exchanged glances and then turned to look. Xin Ya saw that Ning Tian did not come alone. There was a burly man in armor following behind him. You don't need to ask to know that this armor is from the Royal Palace Guards, which means that if Prince Xue Qinghe is here, then Guang Ling must be here too. The little girl took a few steps back decisively. She looked at the back door, which was just around the corner, and felt the urge to rush out. The captain of the Imperial Guard who was following Ning Tian seemed to have noticed her thoughts. He quickly stepped forward and stood near the back door. Xin Ya bit her lip and stared at the Imperial Guard. Ning Tian said to the two of them, "You two ladies, your Royal Highness is here. The sect master invites you to go to the hall to receive him." When Ning Rongrong was thinking about how to refuse, she heard Xin Ya refuse directly, "I'm not feeling well." Rongrong wants to accompany me, but we won't go. With that said, she reached out to hold Ning Rongrong's arm and turned to leave. Ning Tian was a little confused. How dare you refuse to receive His Highness the Crown Prince? Is this Miss Xin Ya so domineering? At this time, the captain of the Imperial Guard quickly stepped forward and stopped Xin Ya as she was about to leave. Miss Xin Ya, can you take a moment to speak? Xin Ya thought for a moment, nodded, let go of Ning Rongrong's arm, and walked towards the corner. The captain of the Imperial Guard followed decisively. After the two of them walked aside, Xin Ya asked, what do you want to say? The captain of the Imperial Guard whispered, Miss Xin Ya, I'm here to pass on a message for the Fifth Lord. He is waiting for you in the carriage at the gate. He wants to see you. Xin Ya said angrily, I don't want to see him. The little girl knew that Guang Ling would not dare to come in and arrest her personally because Chen Xian and Gu Rong were here. As long as Guang Ling didn't come in person, she wouldn't be afraid. When the Imperial Guard heard the little girl's refusal, he continued to lobby, Miss Xin Ya, the Fifth Lord has been looking for you for almost a month. Please go out and see him. No. Xin Ya refused again, then turned and walked towards Ning Rongrong. Rongrong, let's go. She pulled Ning Rongrong straight to the back door. The captain of the Imperial Guard stopped her again and said, please go out and see Miss Xin Ya. The little girl got angry and said loudly, what's going on now? I can't leave if I don't see you, right? Then I have to leave. After she finished speaking, she put her arm around Ning Rongrong's waist and flew up suddenly. Ning Rongrong was startled, looked at her in disbelief and said, you actually have the skill of flying. What other abilities do you have hidden? Xin Ya smiled and did not answer Ning Rongrong's words. Then, she took Ning Rongrong to fly in the air, and then flew out of the wall of Qibao Liuli sect. Xin Ya flew outside the wall, and then waved her hand, and the mare Ada appeared in front of the two. Ning Rongrong opened her eyes wide and looked at the brown horse that suddenly appeared in front of her in disbelief again. Where did this horse come from? Suddenly, Ning Rongrong reacted, your storage soul guide can hold living things. Xin Ya nodded. She quickly jumped on the horse's back and stretched out her hand to Ning Rongrong, do you still want to go? If you want to go, get on quickly. Of course I'm going. After saying that, Ning Rongrong decisively took her hand and jumped on the horse's back. At this time, the captain of the Imperial Guards immediately ran out from the back door when the little girl flew away. He walked around to the carriage at the main entrance and said respectfully, Fifth Worshipper, Miss Xin Ya ran away on horseback again. Chapter 57 Men's words are all lies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sitting in the carriage, Guang Ling heard the captain of the Imperial Guard report that the little thing had escaped again. He immediately walked out of the carriage and happened to see the back of the little girl riding the horse he bought her not far ahead. Guang Ling dodged and jumped onto a horse next to him. With a drive sound, he galloped after him. The captain of the guards immediately jumped on his horse and led 5 of the guards in pursuit, because before Reincarnation walked into the Qibao glazed sect, she guessed that the little girl would run away, and the 5 worshippers would definitely chase after her, so he told him that he must bring a few people with him. Reincarnation was afraid that the 5 worshippers would act recklessly. Xin Ya ran all the way towards the forest behind the Qibao glazed sect, because she checked the map navigation last night and knew that there was a large forest behind the Qibao glazed sect, and there would be a relatively fast river after passing through the forest. Across the river is the Fasno province, which borders the kingdom of Barak. It was a straight road and the shortest distance, but ordinary people would not go through the forest. Because the river is relatively fast, it is impossible to cross the boat, but it is easy for the soul master. So Xin Ya decisively chose the shortest straight line route. At this time, the little girl drove the mare Ada to run quickly in the forest, but at the same time, she also noticed the sound of horse hooves behind her, chasing them. Ning Rongrong sat on the horse behind Xin Ya. She turned to look back and saw a handsome man wearing a black cloak and silver hair chasing after her. Ning Rongrong patted Xin Ya excitedly. Xiao Ya, the man chasing us behind is so handsome. Don't be a nympho. Xin Ya rolled her eyes. As she drove Ada to run, she asked, besides him, who else is chasing me? Ning Rongrong said, there are still 6 Imperial Guards, and one of them is the one who was talking to you just now. Xiao Ya, who is that silver-haired man? Is he also from the prince? Xin Ya pursed her lips and did not answer Ning Rongrong's words. Instead, she said to the mare, Ada, run faster. Let's not let him catch up. The mare Ada is very spiritual and she never needs to be whipped. As long as she talks, she does it. At this time, Ada neighed and suddenly accelerated his speed. Guang Ling, who was chasing behind him, noticed the horse's acceleration. He sighed. It is indeed the war horse of our Wuhuan palace, its speed is astonishing. Moreover, the mare he bought for Xin Ya was one of the outstanding war horses. If it weren't for his status as an elder, the military would not be willing to sell it to him. Fortunately now, the horse he bought with his soul coins became a tool for her to escape from him. He is indeed a heartless little thing. Guang Ling chased after him and shouted, Xin Ya, can we talk for a while? Xin Ya turned to look at him, but ignored him. She doesn't want to talk to him. Stinky man. Big bad guy. This little thing ignored him, and Guang Ling felt helpless and could only continue to chase him. At this time, a relatively fast river appeared not far ahead and below. The river surface was wide and the water was deep. The horse will certainly not be able to get over it, let alone outrun it. Guang Ling shouted anxiously, Xin Ya, don't run away. I won't chase you. Let's stop here, okay? Xin Ya still ignored him and continued to drive Ada forward. Ning Rongrong, who was sitting behind her, suddenly became nervous. She thought to herself, could it be that Xin Ya was being chased and was planning to jump into the river? Miss Ning swallowed her saliva. Xin Ya, I can't swim, and I'm just an auxiliary soul master, not a battle soul master like you. You have to think about me. Xin Ya smiled and said, didn't I tell you yesterday? If you are in danger, I will definitely keep you safe. After all, you spent soul coins to hire me. That's right. Ning Rongrong reacted, I almost forgot about it. Xin Ya said, so just hold me tight and don't fall down by yourself. Trust me for the rest. Okay, I absolutely believe you. Ning Rongrong immediately hugged Xin Ya tightly, closed her eyes, and simply stopped looking to avoid being afraid, and Guang Ling chased him all the way. At this time, he suddenly panicked when he saw that Xin Ya's horse had no intention of stopping, and instead headed straight for the river. Xin Ya, I beg you, please stop immediately. It doesn't matter whether you forgive me or not. It doesn't matter if you want to beat me or scold me. Just stop it first, please. Xin Ya still ignored him. Guang Ling wanted to go around and intercept her, but Ada's war horse was too powerful. His horse was just an ordinary horse and couldn't catch up with Ada. He didn't dare to use his soul skills to stop him, for fear of hurting Xin Ya. Seeing that Xin Ya was almost reaching the rocky bank of the river, Guang Ling's heart was clenched. At this moment, the little girl called out her martial spirit and shouted, the third soul skill, Sword Shadow Shuttle. In an instant, the divine sword turned into a huge physical sword shadow, and Xin Ya shouted to the mare, jump up. The horse neighed again, leaped forward, and jumped onto the shadow of the huge sword. At this time, Xin Ya used her soul power to make the huge sword shadow rush forward. With a hiss, the man and the horse instantly turned into an afterimage and flew towards the other side of the river. That speed was so fast that only an afterimage of the sword body was left behind. 5 seconds later, when they appeared again, they had reached the other side of the river. Guang Ling and the 6 imperial guards who were chasing behind them were stunned when they saw this scene. After they drove their horses to the rocky bank of the creek, they all stopped. Guang Ling looked at Xin Ya who had appeared on the other side of the river, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This little thing's third soul skill is really powerful. He stretched out his ice wings and tried to fly across the other side. Xin Ya raised the divine sword in her hand, pointed at Guang Ling on the other side, and warned, you are not allowed to chase me anymore. Otherwise I will really beat you. Although they were words of warning, the little girl's words sounded aggrieved and soft. The aggrieved tone of the voice made Guang Ling afraid to fly over for the time being. He sat back on the horse and coaxed softly, then if I ask you to beat me, can you calm down? Cannot. Xin Ya immediately retorted, if you hit me, I won't be relieved. I will still run away. Guang Ling looked at the little girl on the other side, then I promise I won't bully you anymore, and I won't trap you anymore. Can you come back first? Xin Ya put away the divine sword, bit her lip, and inserted it into her small waist. The little girl yelled at him angrily, what men say is all lies. I don't believe it. If I believed you, a sow would be able to climb a tree. That the little girl's words not only made Guang Ling dumbfounded, but also made Ning Rongrong and the 6 imperial guards on the other side burst into laughter. Guang Ling smiled and said, I don't know if those pigs can climb trees, but I really won't lie to you. And you said that I bullied you, and you just ran away without coming back to take revenge. Don't you feel it's a loss? I'm right here now. You can come over and beat me or scold me. That the man patiently coaxed the little girl across from him. You're such a bad guy. You're trying to trick me again. I won't fall for it, that the little girl said aggrievedly. I tell you, if you dare to chase me again later, I will never pay attention to you. Guang Ling compromised, okay, I won't chase you, but tell me where you plan to go next. I'm just going to see you. I won't disturb you until you calm down, okay? The little girl hummed, don't even think about it, I won't tell you my whereabouts. After saying this, she pulled the horse's reins, and the mare Ada turned the horse's head and ran away from the rocky bank of the creek. Guang Ling wanted to chase after him, but she was really afraid of driving the little thing into a hurry, so she really would never pay attention to him. A sigh, helpless. He could only watch Xin Ya leave on the other side of the river. Chapter 58 Young Master, when did you start to like insulting others? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chibaoyoli sect, in the hall, after reading the letter last night, Xue Qinghe was curious about what Xin Ya said about her relationship with him, so he asked Ning Fengji tentatively. Ning Fengji then told the fake love story that Xin Ya had made up. After listening to it, Xue Qinghe's mouth twitched, thinking that it would be a waste if this little girl didn't write a storybook. Ning Fengji asked with a smile, is Xiaoya wrong? Xue Qinghe smiled helplessly, yes, she is right, it's my fault, I was impulsive. Just then, Ning Tian hurriedly ran into the hall. Master, it's bad, Miss and Miss Xin Ya, ran away. Ning Fengji frowned. What do you mean by ran away? It means Miss ran away from home, and Miss Xin Ya ran away. After saying that, Ning Tian remembered the note that the servants saw when they went to the eldest lady's room to clean up. He immediately took out the note from his arms and handed it to Ning Fengji. This is the note left by the young lady. Ning Fengji took the note and looked at it. The note read, Dad, don't come to me, I want to go out and experience to prove myself. Xiaoya is with me, she is very powerful and will protect me. Signed, Love your daughter, Rongrong. After reading it, Ning Fengji was not angry, but felt relieved. He silently looked outside the hall door, smiled and breathed a sigh of relief. Our little witch has grown up. It seems that Xiaoya's words really woke her up. Xue Qinghe heard Ning Fengji's words. He asked curiously, did Xiaoya scold Rongrong? What did she scold? Ning Fengji smiled, and then told Xue Qinghe what Xin Ya said at the auction that day. After listening, Xue Qinghe raised his eyebrows and said, she is really interesting. Ning Fengji looked at his reaction and felt that the relationship between Xin Ya and the prince was weird, not like what Xin Ya said. But, when he asked the prince just now, he admitted it himself. Ning Fengji suddenly felt that he was really old, and he couldn't understand the relationship between these younger generations. Coming back to his senses, he asked Xiang Zuiqing, Qinghe, Xiaoya ran away again, what are you going to do? Xue Qinghe smiled faintly, I know she will run away, the guards have already chased her, if they can catch her back, it would be the best, if not. Alas! Qian Renshu sighed for the fifth lord, and she felt that she was quite pitiful, because so far she has not even seen Xin Ya in person, only her portrait. Not only has she not seen her, but she has also been accused of bullying a little girl, causing his reputation as a prince to be damaged, all thanks to the fifth lord. Qian Renshu thought, it seems that there is a chance to ask the fifth lord for some damages or compensation. At this time, the captain of the guards walked quickly into the hall and whispered in the prince's ear. Xue Qinghe nodded, stood up and said to Ning Fengji, Teacher, since Xiaoya has left, I will not disturb you. There is something going on in the palace, and I have to go back to deal with it. Ning Fengji also stood up and smiled lightly, okay, since you are busy, I will not keep you. Come to the sect again next time you have a chance. Also, if you find Xiao Ya, don't bully her anymore. Xiao Ya is very good. Don't make the little girl angry. Apologize to her. Xue Qinghe bowed and nodded slightly, yes, teacher. After that, Ning Fengji sent Xue Qinghe to the carriage at the gate of the sect and watched the carriage leave. After the prince left the carriage, Chen Xian learned from Ning Tian that Ning Rongrong ran away from home. He came to the door and asked Ning Fengji worriedly, Fengji, don't you plan to find Rongrong back? Ning Fengji said, I won't find her. Will I let you and Uncle Long continue to spoil her if I find her back? What Xiao Ya said at the auction house is right. Rongrong has grown up and she should be sensible. Chen Xian snorted, how did we spoil her? If you don't find Rongrong and something happens to her, I will hold you responsible. After saying that, Douluo left angrily. Ning Rongrong, whom he loved since childhood and regarded as his granddaughter, ran away from home, and Xin Ya, who he rarely took a fancy to and wanted to take as a disciple, also left. At this time, Chen Xian was unhappy and planned to fight with Douluo to vent his anger. On the other side, the prince's carriage. Inside the carriage, Xue Qinghe looked at the silent fifth clerk sitting next to him, and said jokingly with a smile, I heard that your little thing ran away again, and you haven't chased her back yet, how pitiful. Just now in the hall, the captain of the Imperial Guard told him that the fifth clerk and a few others went to chase Xin Ya, but unfortunately they didn't catch her back. Guang Ling glanced at him, he looked at his young master's smug look and said, Young master, when did you like to insult others? Xue Qinghe smiled and said, Who asked your little thing to make up a bad man for the prince? She can only get some compensation from you for the story she made up. Bad man? Guang Ling was puzzled, what story did she make up? Xue Qinghe told Guang Ling the story that Ning Fengji told him about Xin Ya, and he repeated it to Guang Ling in detail. Guang Ling was helpless after listening to it, because he heard that Xin Ya was scolding him, and the story she made up had a little bit of his shadow in it. Xue Qinghe saw the expression of Wu Gongfeng and teased, You see, you are a bad man in the girl's heart, always bullying her. Guang Ling was silent. Xue Qinghe had enough of teasing and asked, Then what are you going to do? Do you need me to help you continue looking? Guang Ling shook his head and said, No need, I probably know where that little thing went. I can just go find it myself. You want to leave? Aren't you going back to Wuhuan Hall? Xue Qinghe asked. After I find where that little thing has settled, I will return to Wuhuan Palace. After saying this, Guang Ling saw that the carriage had driven out of Qibao City. He shouted to the captain of the guards who was driving the car, Stop. The captain of the guards immediately stopped the carriage. Guang Ling stood up and said to Xue Qinghe before leaving the carriage, Young master, please write me a letter and let me know. I will go back after a while. Xue Qinghe nodded. Guang Ling left the carriage, jumped on the horse he rode on, and headed in the other direction of Qibao City. After Xin Ya left, he asked the captain of the Imperial Guard for a map and found out that across the river was the province of Fasno. He decided to go to Fasno province alone to find Xin Ya. Fasno province, suburbs. After Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong left the bank of the creek on horseback, since no one was chasing her, Xin Ya drove Ada to walk slowly on the suburban road. They were walking towards the main city of Fasno province. Ning Rongrong asked Xin Ya, the silver-haired man who chased us just now, what is your relationship with him? Xin Ya said decisively, It doesn't matter. Ning Rongrong glanced at her sideways and said in disbelief, It's just the conversation between you two just now. Doesn't it have anything to do with it? What a liar. Xin Ya pursed her lips and said nothing. Chapter 59. Could it be that Guang Ling really likes her, or is just playing with her for fun? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Seeing Xin Ya remain silent, Ning Rongrong said, I understand it doesn't matter if you ask, right? But even if you don't say it, I can see that you are not related to the prince, but to the silver-haired man just now. And that silver-haired man should be the prince's friend. He asked the prince to help find you, right? Xin Ya continued to play dumb. Xiao Ya, that silver-haired man is so handsome. How did such a handsome man bully you? I really want to know, tell me. Ning Rongrong said, while reaching out to poke Xin Ya's lower back and tickle her. Xin Ya couldn't help but giggle. She dodged and said, Don't ask, if you ask, it's a secret, I won't tell. Ning Rongrong pouted and said, stingy, but at this time, Xin Ya suddenly looked into the distance in silence, because when Miss Ning tickled her just now, it reminded her of the first time she went to the military camp in the spirit hall. At that time, when they were searching her body, Guang Ling didn't want to let the soldiers search her body, so he searched it himself. When he searched her waist, he also deliberately tickled her to make her laugh. She was obviously angry with him because he set a trap for her, hated him for always bullying her, but why did she think of him when doing anything? Xin Ya suddenly felt upset. Ning Rongrong, who was sitting behind her, saw her hand covering her chest and asked worriedly, Xiaoya, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Xin Ya shook her head, I'm fine. After a while, she asked, Rongrong, let me ask you a question. If there is a man who always bullies you, scolds you, and scolds you, but when you are injured, he is very nervous to apply medicine to you, and makes you laugh from time to time, and hunts soul beasts to give you soul rings and soul bones. What do you think this man thinks of you? Ning Rongrong said without hesitation, then there is no need to ask, the man must like me. But Xin Ya said anxiously, but he bullies you and scolds you, is this also called love? Ning Rongrong said, bullying and scolding also depend on the situation. Isn't there a saying called flirting? Then do you think the beating and scolding in it really mean beating and scolding? Xin Ya was silent immediately. She remembered what Qianjun said to her on the day he came to her in the Wuhuan Hall. Now, after listening to Miss Ning's words, the little girl began to think deeply, could it be that Guang Ling really liked her, and was not just playing with her for fun? In her previous life, Xin Ya was too busy with work, so she had never been in love, so she didn't understand much about love. She only knew that liking someone was a straightforward way of expression, just to be good to the other person, and she didn't understand other twists and turns. Ning Rongrong asked her curiously, why do you suddenly ask this? Is it related to that silver-haired man? Xin Ya came back to her senses and immediately changed the subject, saying, let's hurry into the city, otherwise there will be no hotel to stay in if it's too late. After she finished speaking, she reached forward and patted the mare Ada's head. Ada, let's run, go. Ada neighed and began to run quickly towards the main city. The two arrived at the city gate before sunset. Xin Ya took the mare Ada back into the system space and followed the people entering the city into the city. The two girls had plenty of soul coins, so they didn't plan to treat themselves badly and booked a room in the best hotel. At this time, when checking in at the hotel front desk, Ning Rongrong asked the service staff, which is the best restaurant in your city? The service staff smiled and said, the best restaurant is naturally Xin Ya restaurant. Ning Rongrong looked at Xin Ya, Xiaoya, let's go there for dinner later and try the local food. Xin Ya naturally had no objection. Eating, drinking, and having fun is her favorite. After checking in, according to the address given by the service staff, the two walked towards Xin Ya restaurant. Xin Ya restaurant is located in the most prosperous street in the city, with very good business and crowded. The two girls came to the door of the restaurant and saw a lot of people gathered at the door of the restaurant from a distance, waiting to get a number to enter. Xin Ya frowned, there are so many people, is it really so delicious? I don't believe it. Ning Rongrong said, since there are so many people, it may be really delicious. If it is not delicious, they will not wait in line. Anyway, it is still early, let's get a number and wait. After all, we don't come here often. Xin Ya nodded. The two girls wanted to go to the door of the restaurant to get a number, but there were too many people, and the people who got the number blocked the road. They could only forcefully squeeze forward. Amid the shoving, a burly man lost his balance and bumped into Xin Ya. Xin Ya didn't pay attention and was bumped to the side by the man. She stumbled and fell into a strong embrace. At this time, a soft voice sounded above Xin Ya's head, little girl, are you okay? Xin Ya looked up and saw a tall man with short golden hair. The man was wearing a blue school uniform with the word thunder written on the left chest of the school uniform. Xin Ya recognized this man. He is Yu Tianxin, one of the most outstanding twin stars of the younger generation of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family, and the captain of the Thunder Academy team. Yu Tianxin supported Xin Ya and looked at her with a smile. Xin Ya reacted, thank you, I'm fine. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately withdrew from Yu Tianxin's arms. At this time, 6 people ran towards Yu Tianxin not far away. Xin Ya looked at those people, she knew who they were members of the Thunder Academy team. "Boss, have you got your number?" One of the boys came to Yu Tianxin, but when he saw Xin Ya standing in front of Yu Tianxin, his eyes lit up instantly. "Hey boss, where did you kidnap this beautiful girl?" That Yu Tianxin glanced at the boy and said, "What do you mean by kidnap? Don't talk nonsense." After saying that, he looked at Xin Ya and introduced himself with a smile. "Hello, my name is Yu Tianxin. The 6 of them are my brothers and teammates. We are students of Thunder Academy." Xin Ya also introduced herself out of politeness. "Hello, my name is Xin Ya." The boy just now immediately came over and rushed to introduce himself. "Sister Xiaoya, my name is Lei Dong, the vice captain of the Thunder Academy team. Although my family background is not as good as our captain, and I am not as handsome as our captain, you have to remember me too." Xin Ya didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but still nodded in cooperation. Yu Tianxin pushed Lei Dong away with disdain and asked Xin Ya, "Are you going to Xin Ya restaurant to get a number?" Xin Ya nodded. "The restaurant's numbers have been issued, but if you don't mind, you can join us." Yu Tianxin said, "I got a number for a private room. There are 12 people at a table, and the 7 of us can't fill up the seats." "Ah. This isn't good." Xin Ya felt that it was the first time she met them, and she was eating with them on the same stage, and she didn't know them well, so it didn't feel good. Just then, Ning Rongrong, who had just lost contact with Xin Ya, finally found her. When Miss Ning came over, she happened to hear Yu Tianxin asking Xin Ya if she wanted to eat together. She immediately said, "Okay, let's eat together." Xin Ya looked at Ning Rongrong. She wanted to refuse. Chapter 60. What the hell is psychology? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ning Rongrong understood Xin Ya's eyes. But she took Xin Ya's arm, looked at Yu Tianxin and said, "Brother Yu, we don't mind." Yu Tianxin smiled and said, "Rongrong, long time no see." Xin Ya raised her eyebrows. "Do you know each other?" Ning Rongrong explained, "The 7 treasures glazed sect and the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus rex family are both the top 3 sects, so our 2 families naturally have some exchanges." Xin Ya said, "Oh, since the 2 of them know each other, she can't refuse, so they can only have dinner together." At this time, the waiter at the door of the restaurant shouted, "Number 103, large private room." Yu Tianxin looked at the number in his hand and said to everyone, "It's our turn, let's go in." Several people nodded. The group walked into the door of the restaurant. The waiter led the 9 guests to the large private room on the 3rd floor. Xin Ya found that the decoration of each floor of this restaurant was very unique. There was no private room in the lobby on the 1st floor, which was for individual guests, but the decoration was very grand and elegant. The 2nd floor is a small and medium-sized private room, but each private room is decorated according to the characteristics of the 24 solar terms, which is refreshing. The 3rd floor is a few large private rooms for more than 10 people, with various ancient decorations, which dazzled Xin Ya. She didn't expect that there was such a unique restaurant in this Douluo continent. No wonder so many people came to this restaurant. Let's not talk about the dishes. The decoration alone is enough to attract people's attention. Yu Tianxin asked Xin Ya, "Do you like it? If you don't like it, you can change it. I am familiar with the boss here and can change it at any time." Xin Ya smiled and said, "I like it very much. This restaurant gives people a very pleasing feeling as a whole. Eating in such an environment, even if the dishes are average, it will make people feel that it is worth the money." It seems that the owner of this restaurant understands psychology very well, and is also very good at packaging. Psychology. Packaging, Yu Tianxin asked blankly. What do these 2 mean? The others also looked at each other. Xin Ya explained, psychology is a science that studies human psychological phenomena and the mental functions and behavioral activities under their influence. It is theoretical and practical. Packaging is to decorate the product with certain specific things or methods to make it more valuable. After the little girl finished explaining, the 8 people were even more confused. They probably understood what packaging meant. but what on earth was psychology? Ning Rongrong frowned and said, Xiaoya, I understand every word you said separately, but why can't I understand it when you put it together? Xianya couldn't help laughing. She thought, this is knowledge that only people from Shuelan Star who have received 9 years of compulsory education can understand. Isn't it normal that you don't understand it? The little girl didn't plan to explain it anymore. Anyway, that's the meaning. It doesn't matter whether you understand it or not. Yu Tianxin looked at Xianya steadily. Although I don't understand your explanation, it's quite special, and you are also special. Xianya laughed and thought, I am a person from Shuelan Star who was reborn in Douluo continent. How can I not be special? Let's sit down and order food. I'm hungry. After she finished speaking, she changed the subject and sat down at the table. The other 8 people also sat down one after another. At this time, the waiter came in to take their orders. After ordering, Yu Tianxin felt that since everyone was sitting together to eat, he should also introduce the other people. He looked at Xianya and Ning Rongrong and said, Xiaoya, Rongrong, let me introduce you to the others. The 2 girls nodded slightly. Yu Tianxin introduced from left to right. Next to me is Lei Dong, and next to him are Lei Tian, Lei Mia, Lei Zhichong, Xiao Yunju, and Lu Chen. After Yu Tianxin introduced, the 6 people greeted the 2 girls one after another. Lei Dong asked, 2 little sisters, which academy are you from? Ning Rongrong said, we plan to go to Shrek Academy to register for admission. Shrek Academy, Yu Tianxin frowned, why haven't I heard of this academy? Xianya said, it's a little-known academy on the outskirts of Soto City in the Barak Kingdom. It's normal that you haven't heard of it. Lei Dong asked Xianya curiously, Sister Xiaoya, what is your martial soul? Xianya said, weapon martial soul, a sword. Yu Tianxin asked with a little excitement, is it of thunder and lightning attribute? Xianya shook her head. Lei Dong said regretfully, it's a pity. If Sister Xiaoya had thunder and lightning attributes, she could come to our Thunder Academy. There's no need to go to an unknown academy. Xianya smiled and didn't say anything. At this time, Yu Tianxin's eyes dimmed instantly after hearing that Xianya's martial soul was not of thunder and lightning attributes, and Yu Tianxin's reaction happened to be seen by Miss Ning. Her eyes flashed and she smiled secretly. At this time, the dishes they ordered came up. Xianya saw the dishes served and they looked good. She picked up a dish of her favorite dish and put it in her mouth. Yu Tianxin asked her, is it delicious? Xianya gave a thumbs up and praised, it's delicious and tasty. With this environment, it's no wonder that this restaurant is so crowded. Hearing that the little girl liked the dishes and environment here and praised them, Yu Tianxin immediately said happily, I'm glad you like it. In fact, this restaurant is one of our Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family's businesses. I came here today to inspect it. Ah! Xianya's hand, which was eating, suddenly froze. My God, why didn't you tell her in advance, and let her make a lot of comments? What if she said something bad? It would be so embarrassing. At this time, she saw that the other people were looking at her with a smile, as if everyone knew it but she didn't. Xianya turned her head and silently looked at Miss Ning who was sitting next to her, and asked in a low voice, did you know it a long time ago? Ning Rongrong also replied in a low voice, I only knew it after I came here. Then you didn't tell me, what if I said something wrong? Xianya complained. Xiaoya, don't pretend. Ning Rongrong smiled and said, you dared to speak frankly to me, the eldest lady of the Ning family, and Princess Shueku at that time, so why are you afraid of saying something wrong now? Xianya glanced at her, we are open for business here, the situation is different. At this time, Yu Tianxin vaguely heard the conversation between the 2 girls, and he saw that Xianya didn't seem very happy. He immediately said nervously, sorry, I didn't let them tell you because I wanted to hear the real opinions and comments. You are the only one here who I met for the first time, and it's your first time to eat here. As a new guest, your comments are very important, so please don't be angry, okay? Yu Tianxin spoke to Xianya in a very gentle voice, which made Lei Dong and others a little uncomfortable. They had never heard the boss speak so gently, and Ning Rongrong sat next to him, looking like a spectator. Chapter 61. Even if she really had to line up and fight, she wanted to develop herself first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Yu Tianxin's words, Xin Ya laughed and said, I'm not angry. You want to hear real opinions and comments. I, a new guest, can indeed give you reference opinions. But actually, with my personality, even if I know you are the owner here, I will give you sincere opinions. Yu Tianxin nodded and smiled, I'm glad you're not angry. I promise I won't hide it from you in the future. The little girl felt strange when she heard his promise. Why did he say it like a promise? Xin Ya felt a little embarrassed at this time. She decisively changed the subject and said, I'm hungry. Let's eat quickly. Hearing her words, everyone didn't hesitate and started eating immediately. Xin Ya, this little girl, is not elegant when eating, but she doesn't eat voraciously. She just eats a little cute. Sometimes, she can't pick up the dishes, and she will fight with the dishes, which makes several boys can't help but look at her, especially Yu Tianxin. He put down his chopsticks directly, supporting his head with his hands and looking at her. After a dinner, after chatting for a while, they planned to leave. Yu Tianxin was the young master of the restaurant, so he could leave without paying. After the group walked out of the restaurant, Yu Tianxin said to Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong, which hotel are you staying in? I'll take you to the hotel. When Ning Rongrong was about to say yes, Xin Ya took the lead and waved her hand, saying, No, the hotel is very close, we can walk back by ourselves, thank you for your treat, goodbye everyone. After she finished speaking, she quickly took Ning Rongrong's arm and turned to walk in another direction. Yu Tianxin looked at Xin Ya's back as she left, silently without saying a word. Lei Dong put a hand on his shoulder and joked, Don't look at her, boss. She's gone far away, and Xiaoya is obviously rejecting you. Yu Tianxin glared at Lei Dong, turned around and said, When we get back to the academy, I'll give you special training. Lei Dong howled, Boss, you can't blame me for not being able to chase the girl. Yu Tianxin said irritably, Shut up. The other 5 people behind him smiled with their lips covered. On the other side, Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong walked back to the hotel. Ning Rongrong looked at Xin Ya and asked, She just sent us off, why do you refuse? What's there to send? There won't be many opportunities to see each other in the future. I'm too lazy to do these favors. Xin Ya said with her hands behind her back while dancing in small checkered steps. Ning Rongrong shook her head helplessly. You saw that brother Yu was interested in you, so you rejected him, right? Xin Ya said, So what if he was interested in you, so what if he wasn't? Does it matter? That she did see it, after all. Yu Tianxin showed it so obviously, unlike Guang Ling who was so roundabout, but she didn't like Yu Tianxin, so it was better to reject him early to avoid unnecessary peach blossom debts. She didn't have any love lines in her previous life. After being reborn in Douluo continent, the little girl felt that Guang Ling alone was enough to bother her, so she didn't want Yu Tianxin again. Ning Rongrong said, It's not really important, but I think brother Yu is not bad either. He belongs to the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family, one of the top 3 sects, and has a top beast spirit. My father said that the current situation on the mainland is that the Tiando Empire and the Xinglua Empire are competing against each other, with the spirit hall balancing the 2 sides in the middle, and there are also major families involved. So I think it would be better for you to find a backer. Otherwise, you should worship Grandpa Jian as your master and become a member of our 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect. I will protect you in the future. Xin Ya snorted and laughed, Miss Ning, it seems that I am protecting you now, okay. Ning Rongrong immediately laughed and said, Yes, you are awesome, you are right. Xin Ya raised her chin and put on a smug expression. She was thinking that even if she wanted to find a backer, she had to find a powerful one. The ending of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family and the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect was that one was wiped out by the Spirit Hall and the other was crippled. In this case, I still want you to be my backer. Are you crazy? As for the Spirit Hall, it was eventually destroyed by Tang San. Logically, she should choose to follow the final winner, but this winner may not be a good one. If Qian Jun could successfully become her sponsor, she would basically stand on the side of the Spirit Hall, but the sponsor's business was ruined by Guang Ling, so now she has nothing to do with either side. As a modern person, Xin Ya knows very well that being neutral is not a good thing. If she was mediocre, it would be fine, but she has the heaven-defying enlightenment system and the Shura sword, so she is destined to be an extraordinary person in the future. Xin Ya knows that if she keeps neutral, she will definitely be forced to stand on the side by all forces in the future, but she just wants to be a salted fish. Even if she really has to stand on the side and fight, she wants to develop a bit now. Let's talk about the future later. On the way back to the hotel, Xin Ya was thinking about everything. After the two returned to the hotel, they went back to their rooms to rest. The next day, the two girls got up early in the morning, washed up, and set off, but for the convenience of riding, they went to the horse shop to buy a horse, and the two rode separately and headed towards Soto City. Just as they left, Guang Ling came to the hotel where Xin Ya lived. He knew that with the character of that little thing, she would definitely stay in the best hotel in the city, so he asked people when he entered the city and found out about this hotel. Guang Ling walked into the hotel lobby. The front desk lady saw a handsome man with silver hair, and instantly looked at Guang Ling with her eyes fixed on him. Guang Ling took out a portrait from the storage soul guide and asked the front desk. "Have you seen this girl?" That the front desk lady immediately came back to her senses, opened her eyes wide and looked at the portrait carefully. After that, she reacted and said, "Yes, I have seen it. This girl is with another girl, but they just checked out and left this morning." Guang Ling's mouth curled slightly, and he knew that the little thing would not treat him badly. As long as she has soul coins, she will definitely choose the best food, clothing, housing and transportation. He then asked the front desk staff, did they mention where they were going when they left? That the front desk lady recalled and said, they didn't mention where they were going, but they asked me where the horse shop was. I pointed them to the horse shop in the north of the city. You can go there to ask. Guang Ling put away the portrait and turned away immediately. Afterwards, he went to the horse shop in the north of the city and asked the horse seller. He knew that Xin Ya went to Soto City, but the guy didn't know where exactly Soto City was. Guang Ling didn't stay any longer and rode to Soto City immediately. Barak Kingdom, Soto City. Two little girls walked on the streets of the city. Ning Rongrong said, Shrek will start recruiting students tomorrow. We will stay in the city tonight. Where do you want to stay? In the best hotel. All right. Xin Ya responded to Miss Ning's words while walking and looking around. Just as the two passed the door of a hotel called Rose Hotel, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in the little girl's mind. System, host, this system detects that there are also travelers carrying systems around. Travelers carrying systems. Xin Ya was immediately surprised. In addition to her, there are other travelers carrying systems in Douluo continent.